Star Wars Jedi Survivor is an action-adventure game developed by Respawn, published by Electronic Arts, and released on April 28th of 2023. Survivor is the much-awaited sequel to 2019's Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Survivor promised more enthralling storytelling and exciting lightsaber-twirling gameplay, but what it delivered on release was glitches and bugs galore, making the game practically unplayable. Now, after playing the game a year later, how does Survivor hold up and survive among the best of the best? The story takes place 5 years after the first game. Fallen Order's ragtag group of miscreants have disbanded for unknown reasons, and we find our hero, Cal Kestis, in a hairy situation. Cal and his new crew are in the middle of stealing military data from a senator when the entire operation goes south. Having to cope with the loss of his team and his ship, the Stinger Mantis, in disarray, Cal seeks refuge on a nearby planet in the many arms of his long-lost pal Grease. One thing leads to another like it always does for Cal, and he is off on another grand adventure in the hopes to find peace as a Jedi, strength as a warrior, and trust as a friend.
Alright, that's enough, Turgle. Turgle, get over here.
Yes.
You're Doma?
Well, yes, I am. You got a name, Jedi?
I'm Cal. This is BD-1.
The game does a perfect job at establishing Cal's character. Cal isn't as brash or quick on the trigger like in the past. This new and improved Cal has a much calmer demeanor, which just turns up the cool factor of being a Jedi. It seems like he simply understands what it is to be a Jedi now. He has a stoic resolve. But it doesn't stop there. While the story ramps up its importance and stakes on a grand scale, it fleshes out Cal's dilemmas in a meaningful and gentle way that acknowledges every small detail it can. It's rewarding to see these two different aspects of the story unfold, and the quieter moments are much appreciated and show restraint for major character events to slowly build up amongst the chaos and grandeur of the overall design. Jedi Survivor was a mess when it first released. It was riddled with frame rate issues, game-breaking glitches, and other graphical problems. Playing this a year later, I actually did run into a lot of issues, but it was never anything detrimental. There was a lot of pop-in, textures, shadows, everything. I had weird problems with the camera and controls while climbing. It kept wanting to make me go the opposite way when I had the camera turned in a different direction. I experienced lots of weird hiccups all throughout the many cutscenes. I had a couple bugs where the game wouldn't load the next event, and I would have to exit and restart from the last checkpoint for it to work. Every time I went to travel to another location with a ship, everyone inside would be T-posing. The infrastructure of this game is still a mess, but the smooth and fun gameplay really makes up for it. Gameplay follows the same structure as Jedi Fallen Order, but on a larger scale. Worlds are massive, combat opportunities are widened, and the verticality in the level design has increased. The world feels 10 times better than the first game, but it being segmented into levels or smaller areas is still quite noticeable. It's a bigger and better game gameplay-wise, but at its core, it still continues with levels that sometimes don't blend into the world as much as they should, due to having odd things like parkour options in an area that's dedicated just for that. It's not that big of a deal, but when it's noticeable, just because of how fluid everything flows into each other this time around. I can imagine that it's hard to create a cohesive world with a Souls-like framework and elements like this.
Down! We're almost... Bravo!
Cal Kestis can double jump, dash, wall run, swing from ropes, and even hop a ride on some of the local wildlife. There are multiple stances to master, like the double-bladed stance that's good for groups of enemies, or the crossguard that's deliberately slow in favor of more powerful attacks. There's a skill tree where you can customize your Jedi to be more aligned with a certain lightsaber style, or be more attuned to the Force by learning Force techniques like making your enemies fight each other. Cal's droid buddy, BD-1, even has some interesting gameplay components thrown into the mix this time around that reiterates their bond and teamwork. There are puzzles to solve, dungeons to crawl, and side quests to tackle. And Cal looks good doing it all too, with a plethora of outfits and hairstyles that you can equip him. The design of the levels and the different facets within the gameplay keep you constantly engaged, finding something new, or being rewarded, creating an infinitely addicting gameplay loop that makes it hard to put the lightsaber down. The controls in Jedi Survivor are super fluent and responsive. You will feel the wrath that a Jedi is able to unleash while playing as Cal. I spent a large portion of the game just standing around doing backflips because it looks cool. The animations are great and a lot of care can be seen in little things like BD-1 skittering down Cal's arm to operate a control panel. I was surprised about how much I actually enjoyed my time playing this. A lot of it deals with how Cal feels while playing, and how much more polished everything feels over the last game and other games like this. Jedi Survivor feels so much more layered than something like Forspoken or Final Fantasy XVI, where a lot of their elements felt flat and disjointed. Even though Jedi Survivor has a lot of bugs, the game overall feels polished due to the awareness and management of all of these different designs coming together as separate cogs and running this machinery.
All right then.
The audio design is what you would expect from a top-of-the-line Star Wars game. Classic and revamped scores are arranged into the background beautifully, as well as some new tracks that match so well with the original music that it seems as if they were there all along. Lightsabers sizzle, creatures call, stormtroopers cry, and empires fall. Voice work is superb, with actors being able to perform the most subtle of inflections, providing the best of nuance anyone could hope for. Some of these scenes are some of the most powerful cinematics I've ever seen in gaming thanks to the audio design.
Dagon, what have you done?
What I must.
Stop.
But you want what I want. Why else would you deceive the Council?
You've lost your way. Surrender. And we can figure this out, together.
Come with me.
It's too late for that.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a game about hopes, dreams, regrets, choices, and ambitions. A lot of these things could come off as cheesy because it's easy to be strewn pretty heavy-hearted, but here, it plays out very earnestly. In this world that we live in that's oversaturated with Star Wars, it's easy to not care about the franchise, but this game makes you care again. This is what I call a game in its truest form. It has fantastical story moments of levity and sincere strong emotions. This game allows its moments to breathe and you can really tell when Cal is thinking. The gameplay and worlds provide wonder and a lot of exploration. Thematic values and symbolic implications are empathetically woven into the story wonderfully. Musical cues and the sounds that create these rich, believable worlds draw you into the perilling escapade right next to Cal. Jedi Survivor is the pinnacle of Star Wars games and is a Star Wars fan's dream. I give Star Wars Jedi Survivor an 8.5 out of 10.